Here's your First Warn Weather Forecast First, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
It was yet another hot and humid day today in the state line prior to some thunderstorms rolling through for a few of us. Temperatures still sitting at the 90-degree mark in Janesville, 84 in Monroe, 85 in DeKalb, 87 in Sterling, but some rain, cool air here in Rockford and down in Rochelle, 81 and 82 degrees respectively. Those storms out to our east, but we're looking down to our south and to our west for additional development here as we head into the evening, and those storms could still pose a risk for some very heavy rainfall for an isolated few spots in the state line. I'll look at where we could see that highest coverage of rain and how much rain could come down. That's coming up in your most trusted forecast a little later.
Right now at 6, Beloit police are asking for help after a man is killed in a hit and run. What we know as investigators search for a suspect. And a veteran support nonprofit receives a boost following a break-in. The local business helping the Veterans Drop-In Center get back on its feet. And ringing in the new school year, the event put on by Rockford Public Schools as students prepare to head back to class.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Blake Dietz. Thanks for joining us this evening. Tonight, Beloit police are investigating an overnight hit and run that left one man dead. The incident happened at the intersection of White Avenue and Riverside Drive around 1:49 this morning. According to police, 2 vehicles, a motorcycle and a blue 1999 GMC Jimmy, were involved in the incident. The driver of the motorcycle, a 37-year-old Beloit man, was pronounced dead. The GMC was not present on scene. Officers later found it abandoned. The identity of the 37-year-old has not been released. Police urge anyone with information to call the department or submit a tip through the Greater Beloit Area Crime Stoppers website. Rockford police say a 47-year-old man is recovering after being shot this morning on the city's west side. This happened in the 1100 block of Arthur Avenue prior to 6:30 a.m. No further details were shared from police. We're working to learn more and will bring any information as it becomes available. Today, Freeport police announced the arrest of a wanted 28-year-old man from Freeport. Juwan M. Stibb was arrested Friday afternoon following the execution of a search warrant at Stibbs' residence in the 800 block of West Stevenson Street. According to police, Stibb had an outstanding warrant for failing to appear in court on a charge of possession with intent to deliver cocaine. Officials found Stibb in possession of crack cocaine, and more of the drug was located inside of the residence. Stibb is charged with possession with intent to deliver 1 to 15 grams of cocaine. He is currently lodged in the Stevenson County Jail. A Rockford Veterans Support nonprofit received a big boost today following a break-in last month. Kegel's Bicycle Store hosted a group bike ride and donation collection for the Veterans Drop-In Center. That's a nonprofit that provides meals, support, and a safe space for veterans. Over the 4th of July weekend, a former volunteer allegedly broke into the center, leaving pounds of food out to spoil, stealing money, and assaulted a 77-year-old volunteer. Donations have since poured in since the story was featured here on WTVO. Kegel's owner says when they heard what happened, the first instinct was simply to lend a hand.
It's hard to believe someone would break into the vet center, for all they've done for us. But then it's such a great organization. The people down there really do great work. And so when we saw this, we just thought it'd be the natural thing to do. It's great to see the cycling community come out. It's we have a lot of support. When we do stuff like this.
The Drop-In Center is asking for grocery store gift cards. Donations can be dropped off at Kegel's Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Rockford's oldest historical site was celebrated today. The 27th annual Honor the Mounds gathering took place at Betty Park. The event raises awareness for Native American burial mounds in the area. The mounds are sacred to natives and were erected across the country for thousands of years. Native American drumming, dancing, food, and a sacred fire for prayer were all featured during the gathering. One activist says supporting and respecting the mounds are one of the best ways that you can show respect for Native American culture.
What's happened has happened, it can't be changed. We must find a way to move forward together. And I think the best way to move forward together is just show the same respect to these remains, these sites, and these people and their history and their culture as we would expect to be shown to us. It's the golden rule, basically. It's pretty simple.
Corps says although it's against the law to disturb burial mounds, there is no enforcement agency in the state to adequately protect them. A nonprofit bringing water sports to those with special needs returned to Rockford today. Michigan-based nonprofit Above the Wake was at West Rock Wake Park. They allow kids with autism a chance to hit the water for paddle boarding, wakeboarding, and knee boarding in a safe and supportive atmosphere. Now, Above the Wake was started over a decade ago by Tom Hart, who says he wanted to share his love of water sports with those who he says often don't get an opportunity. Hart and one parent say one of the best feelings is creating connections with kids and their families.
It's always great when we come back to a place. You know, when you go to a place and it's new for everybody. But we're coming back and we're seeing growth. We see a lot of growth in the kids that we serve, but we also get to see families and parents, and we establish relationships too. So there's just people that we see and we're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this guy in, a year, and now he was like 6 foot tall. So it's a good experience for us.
Tom has provided an outlet for my son. And being that he's older now and he still enjoys this, and loves being in the water, loves swimming, and it's just, it's a godsend. It's a godsend. He really, as soon as we went to an event up in Michigan where he's from, first time, and did the same that we do here, but in a little different environment, and my son thrived and loved it.
Above the Wake now hosts events across the country. School is almost back in session in Rockford, and RPS is celebrating with a back-to-school bash. It's part of Rockford Public Schools' Brother for Change initiative. That's an initiative to help improve behavior, attendance, grades, and social-emotional learning. The event is taking place at Auburn High School right now and features free backpacks, food, games, and a whole lot of fun. Families also have an opportunity to meet with Brothers for Change educators and community leaders. One RPS official says that they plan to have more events like today's, with an emphasis on meeting families where they are and creating a welcoming environment where everyone can learn.
It's about getting us to an onboarding of a school year that is positive. It's centered around scholar leadership, scholar engagement, and grades that a scholar is able to take risk and the ability to make sure they're grounded social-emotionally. So we're looking to have a great start to the school year. We started a little earlier this year, so we want to make sure we're being very welcoming to our families and meeting them where they're at today.
Now you can still join in on the fun. The back-to-school bash will go until 7:30 p.m. RPS students will be back in class on Thursday, August 14th. We're learning more about a Friday shooting that left a police officer dead in Atlanta. After the break, the latest from authorities and the information the FBI recently released about the suspected shooter.
Our high temperature once again made its way to the 90-degree mark, and that humidity fueling some afternoon thunderstorms. We could see another renewed round as we head into the evening. I'll look at the timing of that and how long into tomorrow those storms could stick around, coming up in just a few minutes.
We're learning more about a Friday shooting that left a police officer dead in Atlanta. Authorities say a gunman opened fire near the campuses of both the CDC and Emory University. The shooting prompted lockdowns and shelter-in-place orders. Today, the FBI releasing the name of the suspected shooter who died at the scene. ABC's Faith Abubi has the latest.
A terrifying scene in Atlanta just before 5 p.m. Friday afternoon. Multiple gunshots reported at a CVS drugstore at an intersection by the campus of Emory University and near the entrance to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Today is a very dark day in DeKalb County.
Officials say a suspect fired multiple rounds into the CDC building. Bullet holes seen in the front entrance of the CVS store. As the chaos unfolded, university officials with this urgent warning for students: run, hide, fight. Nearby areas placed on lockdown, including a daycare center with 92 children inside. This woman says her wife and son, just 1.5 years old, were inside when it happened.
Angering that my child can't be safe at daycare. my wife can't be safe picking him up from daycare.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation today identifying the suspected shooter as 30-year-old Patrick Joseph White of Kennesaw, Georgia. Investigators say he was located on the second floor of the CVS building and exchanged gunfire with officers.
He had been struck by gunfire. We do not know at this time whether that was from officers or if it was self-inflicted.
DeKalb County police say one officer, 33-year-old David Rose, was also killed. He leaves behind his pregnant wife and 2 children.
He gave his life with a commitment to serve others, and he should be respected for that.
No civilians were injured by gunfire. CDC Director Dr. Susan Mornares in a statement writing, "We're actively coordinating with federal, state, and local partners to fully investigate the shooter and this tragic crime." The Emory University Police Department says it'll increase police presence throughout the weekend. Faith Abube, ABC News, Atlanta.
Also in Atlanta, history was made today. Jen Powell became the first woman to umpire a Major League Baseball game. Powell made her debut at first base in a game between the Atlanta Braves and Miami Marlins. Her first call, an out. Powell has been umpiring for nearly a decade. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said, in quote, "She has earned this opportunity and we are proud of the strong example she has set." She'll get her opportunity to call balls and strikes behind home plate on Sunday, and we want to send a big congratulations to her. Well, we're in the dog days of summer, and the heat this weekend has made its presence felt. Coming up, meteorologist Jordan Wolf joins us to tell us when we could see some relief from that heat and the chances for rain on the horizon. His forecast is next.
Now, your First Warn weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
The recent heat and humidity has now fueled some thunderstorms as we head in here much through the afternoon. Although very isolated in coverage thus far, we should see a gradual increase as we head here late into the evening. And that all starts with what's going on down to our south and our southwest, out in portions of Iowa and now into northern Missouri. Gradually, a lot of this coverage will begin to fill in as we head over the next several hours here as we head late into the evening tonight. A lot of that coverage out ahead of it, though, still very isolated in nature. We did have one storm pass over Rochelle and southern Boone County into McHenry County, and now we have this storm down to the south of Amboy, closer to Sublette, moving eventually into southern DeKalb County. That storm is currently capable of producing roughly 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, but so far, all of our storms have remained below severe limits. I'm going to jump to Futurecast here, and keeping in mind that this is just an example of a computer model. This can't exactly predict the future, but does give us an idea of how things may play out here as we head into the evening. I do expect most of the storm activity that we have ongoing to eventually clear out to our east, but quickly that will fill back in, especially out to the west with what we have now in Iowa and in northern Missouri. That will gradually and very slowly spread our direction as we head then into the later nighttime hours tonight and going into the early part of tomorrow. That's what we could see for the potential for very slow-moving storms, as well as that potential for very heavy rainfall, and that could add up those rain totals in a hurry for some, especially out to the west, where I think the highest confidence of those storms to stall will end up being. We're likely left with at least scattered activity heading into the early part of tomorrow morning, a little bit of a decrease for the early part of the day tomorrow, and then another return of some scattered activity going into the afternoon and evening. So we'll have multiple rounds of these thunderstorms as we head over the next couple of days, and that could all bring those rain totals a little bit on the higher side. This is just a very broad brush stroke example of what a computer model spits out for rainfall totals. It does have some spots picking up over an inch of rain and even near 2 inches of rain. I do think the highest confidence of that likely remains primarily west of Rockford, but anywhere we see these thunderstorms end up and go over the same areas over and over again, there is that potential for some flash flooding if we were to get those heavier rainfall rates to set up. And with that in mind, the Weather Prediction Center has placed a couple of areas underneath a moderate risk for flash flooding. The excessive rainfall outlook highlighting this broad color in red, mainly in Joe Daviess County and far northwestern Greene County in Wisconsin, for that highest potential for flash flooding into the night tonight. And that threat then continues as we head into tomorrow and even into the early part of Monday, spreading a little bit further off to the east then as we'll have these multiple rounds of storms that set up. All that in mind, there is a flood watch that's out for some of those same spots as well that will run through Monday. Joe Daviess, Stevenson, Carroll, and Whiteside counties in Illinois, as well as Greene and Rock counties in southern Wisconsin. We are dry, at least for now, with many of our Mercy Health SkyTrack cameras across the region, including in Beloit, Wisconsin. Temperature up that direction in the low 80s, 82 in Janesville, 81 Rockford, 87 though in Dixon and in Sterling, where they haven't had as much of that rainfall or those rainfall rates. Weather watcher Terry in Genoa, 77 degrees, 74 for his current dew point. Overnight tonight, we're down to 72 degrees for that forecast low temperature, but we'll maintain that chance for some scattered storms. Back to 84 for tomorrow. Scattered storm activity once again, although I do think that main potential for heaviest rain would exist mainly during the overnight hours tonight as well as going into tomorrow night. Eventually things do start to wind down a little bit, but very slowly as that slow moving cold front pushes through. So a little bit less in the way of rainfall coverage for the middle to end of the week, but our temperatures those do start to climb.
Yeah, looking like an unpredictable week. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Thanks, Jordan. Drew's in next with sports. The Cubs are battling with the Cardinals as they chase down the Brewers for first place in the Central.
Now sports with Drew Collins.
The Cubs have dropped 5 games behind the Brewers. Chicago's 66-49, but the Brewers are just in a world of their own right now. The Brew Crew are 44-16 in their last 60 games. This is the best 60-game stretch since the team's inception in 1969. Although the Cubs can't affect how hot the Brewers are, they can get a win tonight. The Cardinals are only 1 game behind Cincinnati for 3rd in the division. The Cubs yesterday went 0-for-9 with runners in scoring position. Let's hope they can bring in a few runs today. Colin Ray is on the mound. This one just started. I'll have the highlights later tonight. But first, here's manager Craig Counsell and what he had to say following last night's loss.
We certainly got to sequence some at-bats. We get first and second to start the 5th, I think, and we've got top of the order up, and in the inning that Tucker flew out, Bushy and say a strikeout pop-up. That's kind of where the innings we got to do something else there to keep that inning going.
And that's how you speak it into existence. Here it is, 1-0 already, still top of the first. Cubs expect catcher Miguel Amaya to rejoin the team this week in Toronto after being injured for 2.5 months. The White Sox are underway versus Cleveland on the south side. Last night, they stretched their losing streak to 5. They also allowed 5 runs in just the first inning of yesterday's game. Hopefully, Sean Bjork can get the Sox started better tonight. But the Southsiders already trail. The Sox are down 1-0 in just the first inning. Packers fans can rejoice as it's finally game day. Although it's not the regular season, it's still football nonetheless. The Packers and Jets both expect to play their starters tonight. It's expected to be a rainy one for anyone who made the trip. But hey, if you did not make the trip, don't sweat it. The game between the Jets and Packers will be right here on Fox 39 at 7 o'clock. The post-game show is on right after we wrap it up here. I'll have some of the highlights later tonight. Bears fans will have to wait patiently until tomorrow. And to make things worse, you will not see Caleb Williams play. Head coach Ben Johnson said only 9 starters will play, and that will not include QB1. The Bears will host the Dolphins tomorrow at noon. That's sports. We'll be right back.
All right, guys, we have football starting. We have the Packers on at Fox 39 soon. And, I know we all have different teams. We're all fans of different teams. So how do you guys think of your respective teams coming into the season?
Super Bowl or bust as a Bengals fan, so I'll keep it sweet short.
You got to.
Yeah, Colts fan, so it's the Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones fiasco. We'll see how it goes.
Not a great choice, but hopefully they can figure it out.
Somebody's got to figure it out.
They will, I think. And then Caleb Williams, obviously, we're in good hands, hopefully, but fingers crossed because you never know with the Bears.
Right, fingers crossed about this radar. We stay clear at least a little bit longer. Our first one, interactive radar from Rockford, Glass, and more. A couple of storms starting to develop down to our south. A couple of those now posing a small risk for some severe weather, mainly south of Interstate 88. Heavy rain could be possible overnight tonight, keeping an eye out for some flash flooding concerns.
All right, thank you, Jordan, Drew. That's our show. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you at 10.